Cloudcast Media.
Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show, amplifying the voices of social impact organizations, entrepreneurs, local nonprofits, and other community champions who shape the culture, creativity, and connectivity of San Diego. Brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, bringing good things to San Diego for over 60 years. Learn more about what is good for you and good for all by visiting www.missionfed.com.
I'm Drew Schlosberg of Cloudcast Media, and we are so pleased to have in the studio with us today the Patriot Group. Joining us is Jeff Forbes, founder and president and CEO. How you doing, Jeff?
Doing well, sir. And yourself?
Good. How long did you take to form this thing? Were you thinking about it, and when did you form the Patriot Group?
No, I formed it in 2016. I got out of the military and didn't know what I was going to do. Couldn't find a job. Had a young baby at home and figured, hey, let's give it a shot.
Very good, especially with a young baby. Joined by your colleague, and I can say my colleague too, an SD Macker, so to speak, San Diego Military Advisory Council, Jennifer Cortez, VP of Strategic Partnerships for the Patriot Group. How you doing, Jennifer?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Very good. Glad to jump right in over here. And I know we'll, get to some of the key work that you do, of course, that leads to some of the success with the Patriot Group, and joined by my guest co-host, and that is Ian Solomon. He is a senior at San Diego State in leadership studies. How are you enjoying this co-hosting gig, Ian?
It's been a blast getting to sit next to you and learn from the best.
Well, listen, I'm not sure if you're learning. The IQ is probably going down sitting next to me. But I think, listen, well, the fun thing about it is you hear so much stories from disparate groups. We just had Promise to the Kids on. Now we have the Patriot Group. And I know, Ian, you have a question for Jeff.
Yeah, Jeff, I was wondering if we could start off, you tell us a little bit about the mission of your organization.
Yeah, so honestly, we just redid our mission recently. Originally, my intent was to start the Patriot Group so I could feed my family, and then I realized real quickly how quickly people could buy homes in the Patriot Group. We have salaries, and we have systems set up where guys can buy homes, veterans can buy homes, but everyone was asking us, like, what is your guys' actual mission that you can sell to your customers? And our mission is to be the nation's trusted utility partner, delivering innovative third-party logistics solutions to empower clients and communities.
And so how many clients do you have?
Man, that's a great question. Probably 60 or 70, because we normally deal with IOUs and utilities.
That's fantastic. And so talk about, so here you are, just got out of the military. You got how old was your kid when you got out?
6 months.
Oh, okay, that's pretty young. Okay, 6 months over here, and you're going, all right, what am I doing now? You came up. Have you always been thinking about this idea?
No, so actually, I got out of the military. I had a top secret clearance, master's degree, and I was like, I'm going to go to the DEA, FBI, CIA. I'm going to go do one of those cool things. And then there was a federal hiring freeze. And so I actually went to a company and started selling electrical material just to pay the bills. And I was sitting in one of their facilities, and I was like, oh, this is kind of interesting. The utility's interesting. It's recession-proof. Let's go for it.
Great. So what branch of the military did you serve?
The Marine Corps.
And thank you for your service very much. My dad fought at Guadalcanal, many moons ago, obviously. So we have a sort of a passion for the Marines and all that business. Jennifer, you're a military spouse. How long has your husband been in the military? Is he still in the military?
He's no longer in the military. He's now retired, and he served 20 years in the Marine Corps as a pilot.
You Marine Corps folks, you stick around together and all that. Before we get a little bit into the Patriot Group, but this is such a question that we love to ask our military spouses, that we know there's a big push to make sure we're not ignoring our military spouses, to say the least, and open up doors for them and all that. What are some of the challenges of being a military spouse, and what have you learned? I mean, obviously you're an advocate for it because of what you do.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I would say that overall as a community, and especially here in San Diego, we've seen a lot of momentum, specifically around military spouses, a lot more attention to them, both when their service member is active duty and also during the transition. The transition is not only challenging for the service member who is in the process transitioning out, but could be just as hard for that spouse, especially if they're not staying in that same community. But I would like to spotlight a few organizations. One is Hiring Our Heroes, that helps to support those types of transitions, whether it's through skill bridge programs or other types of resources that they have.
Yeah, and I think, what's important, and we've said this about 1 billion times on the military show, and even on our Spotlight show as well, whether it's with David Boone, the current president and CEO of SDMAC, or Mark Ballmer, are the ones that had certainly come before, is that, and when you got folks that are, doing their work, like, Jeff overseas, whatever the case may be, or your husband, the last thing that they want to worry about is how their spouse is doing. They're on job one in some pretty intense areas. If they know the spouse is got a good network behind him or her, and all that aspect, makes such a difference in the world, isn't it?
So true. Absolutely. It's the community and the resources that are within it that make a huge difference, but it's also the access to them. If military spouses do not know that they're available, then they're never going to be able to partake in them. Right,
exactly. So, Jeff, let me ask you this. Bridging the gap, military hiring, are we doing a good job, we being civilian businesses, and hiring the military? What grade would you give us on this? And I know it's probably all over the board.
Well, I'm going to be PC because Jennifer Cortez is here. I would say that we're doing actually pretty well. You know what I mean? But the thing is that no organization outside of the military looks at all of the benefits to hiring veterans. They look at, oh, this guy doesn't have a 4-year degree, so I can't hire him. Well, what did this guy learn while he was deployed? Does he have more life experience that's going to be more beneficial to your organization than somebody that's fresh out of college or somebody that doesn't have those experiences? And so I would say here in Southern California, we do a great job. We do a great job. Organizations are reaching out to us all the time. Jennifer's done an amazing job nationally getting organizations to reach out to us about hiring veterans. But I would say that the thing that's missing would be the actually sitting down and understanding what veterans need when they're looking for a job.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. What we talk about quite a bit, Ian, weigh in on this. So if anyone doubts, the ability of these young, whether it's Marines or it's Navy or Army, Coast Guard, fill in the blank, 19, 20-year-olds, they're only operating $4 billion worth of machinery. Are you kidding me? You think that is something that is, it is. So the dedication, the deadlines, the loyalty, right off the gate on that, Ian, these folks that come from the military have got all the skill sets before they even come close to leaving the military.
Yeah, and Jeff, maybe you could piggyback off of this. Obviously, like when you guys come out of the Marines, you guys have all these skills and like talents that you develop, but how could, let's say, someone that just came out of like the Marines, how could they market themselves to future employers to like showcase these skills that they learned?
Well, I think service members do a terrible job selling themselves. Okay.
Yep.
And we do that because we think everybody understands what we've done and who we've been and where we've been. Another thing that veterans have a hard time doing is understanding that we're going to start from the bottom again. That's my biggest thing is I get these guys that have been in the military for 20 years and they think they're going to come in and run an organization. It's like, hey, look, you have all the gifts, talents, and abilities, but you're going to have to start at the bottom again because it's completely different. And so I would say that the best way for service members to market themselves is, number one, understand that they don't know what they're talking about. Like, we've never interviewed outside in the civilian world. This is not a counseling in the military. We have to be able to market ourselves in a honest way. Okay, in the Marine Corps, they teach us you are the baddest fighting force on the face of the planet. I can't walk into a job interview and tell somebody, hey, I'm the greatest person that's ever done this job ever in the history of the world. And so it's just all about honesty and being transparent. The Marine Corps and the military does a great job with all the aptitude tests when you're getting out. Tells you what you should look at a careers in. And so we just need to be honest with employers.
I'm going to introduce you to a group that I've been working with since 2014. They're called Journeys Map, and they've been around for quite a while. They actually presented at the White House, and what they are is a career map. It's all digital. They got like 6 patents. And whether you're transitioning from the military to civilian life, or you're going from high school to college to work, they set up a process, and now they're heavily involved in AI, where the person transitioning out of the military, you're not starting at zero. You've got 80% of the job nailed, but you want to do X. This is what you need to do to get there.
Yeah.
And so that's what this map does. And, there should be more of those types of aspects in that area. Talk a little bit about the workforce readiness, and which is so critical, of course. And we'll start with you on this, Jeff, and we can pivot over to you on that as well, Jennifer.
So I want to tell you guys how Jennifer actually got to the Patriot Group. Jennifer got to the Patriot Group when we only had 5 employees. Okay. And she said, hey, Jeff, I want to come help you run this thing. And so she put all of this military program together. Okay. It was a brainchild of mine that I said this would be great to do one day. And then we popped up a year later and Jennifer had set it all up. And so I want to tee her up to talk about all the work she's done in that space. And that's why we had to get her on the podcast with me, because she's done a phenomenal job, and all the awards we've won for veterans hiring and all the medallions we've won and all the accolades we get for all the veteran stuff is all her. And so I do not want to steal her thunder. So
right. And of course, Jeff, you will pay for this, of course. As you know, she's already thinking about, how am I getting back to Jeff on this? Maybe before we get to the car, we'll see on this, because Jennifer's one of the most humble people around, as you are too, Jeff. You can just tell that oozes out of you. Anyway, you've been teed up, Jennifer. Go ahead.
Yeah, much appreciated. Well, I mean, these awards are not small. So just as an example, so first of all, to acknowledge what he had said, what you both said, it's much appreciated. The reality is, if we were not already doing it, so when we say we as a team, the company founded and led by Jeff, and including our incredible leadership team, our team across the board. But collectively, if we were not doing it, then we would not have received all of this recognition. We wouldn't have actually gotten this far. So, I mean, we do need to put honor where honor's due. And we're able to submit for these awards and qualify for them because we're actually doing them. A lot of them are data-driven. As an example, the Higher Vets Medallion Award, which is by the U.S. Department of Labor, we were just awarded it for the second consecutive year. On average, that takes between 8 to 10 hours to submit for that. All that to say, it's data-driven, and we have that data because the company does it. And so veteran topics across the board, workforce readiness, being a company that, promotes military hiring, et cetera. And I'm just broadly saying that. But if you do not have leadership who is bought in on this, then you're actually never going to be able to get to the point where you have the data to move the needle and then even qualify for these awards. So I appreciate it. Yes, I was able to capture that in, pursue different awards. But the reality is that that's because it was already there.
But you're not talking about the different organizations you work with and partnered with, Jennifer.
Yes, and we're going to get to that in a few seconds here when we're chatting with Jeff Forbes. He's the president and the founder, CEO of the Patriot Group, joined by his colleague, Jennifer Cortes, VP of Strategic Partnerships. I'm Drew Schlosberg of Cloudcast Media, listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show. We are the nation's longest-running community podcast. We're in our 20th year, brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union. 6 decades of doing great things for people in San Diego County, whether it's food insecurity, whether it is homelessness, arts, financial literacy, you name it. Joined by my guest co-host, Ian Solomon, SDSU's senior in leadership studies. And, want to get to that, Jennifer. So you're VP of Strategic Partnerships. We could probably start now and end in about 3 weeks of all the partnerships you've, certainly, garnered and all that business. Was it tough to get the partnerships? But as you mentioned, with the leadership that Jeff and the team brings, not that tough. Talk about that.
Right. Well, a few things. So first of all, I appreciate the support. It starts at the top,
right?
But it's also having your team members, bought into it. It's not just 1 or 2 people,
right?
You need multiple team members at multiple levels within the company to actually make it work, and actually to be truly infused within your culture. From a partnership standpoint, I'm just going to draw out a truth here: is that not every organization is a good one. And whether they're focused for military, whether they're focused for veterans, or whether they're focused for spouses. So that's one thing. Thankfully, I was already aware of that before coming into this role. And so a few things is, reaching out to organizations, reaching out to referrals. But I do want to spotlight a few. And so
please.
The Patriot Group is a utility services contractor. So number one is we're going to target specific to the energy sector and the utilities. So a few is Center for Energy Workforce Development. They're based out of DC, so CEWD. Another is Veterans in Energy. They actually have a partnership between the two. Within CEWD, they have a handful of different programs. One is Get Into Energy. That's applicable for anyone across the board nationwide. So it's a big driving factor and program to really increase awareness to career opportunities that exist within the energy sector and the utilities. In addition to that, they developed a program called Troops to Energy. The Patriot Group is a proud employer and supporter of Troops to Energy. And so that not only gets to spotlight the open positions that we have at the Patriot Group and try to fill those positions specifically with veterans on the Troops to Energy platform, but it also gets to further support the organization as a whole and the program. A few others are Work for Warriors. We work with them in California and other states. Absolutely incredible. And you had shared earlier, SDMAC, local organization here in San Diego, but also definitely has impact at the state level. And there's a number of others, but.
Yeah, when we come back from break, we're going to continue that conversation. We want to talk about some of the challenges that small, veteran-owned businesses have. We always save time, Jeff and Jennifer. The second half, what can our listeners do to support your efforts? Can they volunteer? Can they donate? Can they open the doors for you? Can they advocate? So think about that when we return with Jeff Forbes. He's the founder and president and CEO of the Patriot Group, joined by his colleague, Jennifer Cortes, VP of Strategic Partnerships, joined also by my guest co-host, Ian Solomon. He's a student at SDSU, a senior in leadership studies, also has his own business. We may even talk about that. They may have some interest for the Patriot Group to get involved in your emerging business as well. I'm Drew Schlosberg of Cloudcast Media, and we will be right back after this short break.
When you do your banking with Mission Fed, you get great rates on auto and home loans. That's good for you, but something good also happens for a lot of other people. We're not for profit, so we put money back into the community to help lots of great nonprofits to keep San Diego strong. So you're not just getting something good, you're doing something good. Come to Mission Fed. It's banking that's good for all.
Brand amplification is the DNA of Cloudcast Media, and our code is the powerful blending of sound, voice, and storytelling to lift local brands and their communities. Whether it is our Brandcast, Schoolcast, or Causecast platforms, the unifying ethos is all about this community, the one you call home. If you dare to dream and want to explore the brand amplification of Cloudcast, a national leader in local podcasting and other Winfluence strategies, please visit us at cloudcast.us.
I'm Drew Schlosberg of Cloudcast Media, listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show, brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union. Grant, so pleased to have in the studio with us today, Jeff Forbes, founder and president and CEO of the Patriot Group, joined by his colleague, Jennifer Cortes. She's the VP of Strategic Partnerships, joined by my guest co-host, Ian Solomon, a senior at San Diego State in Leadership Studies. Ian, you got a question for Jeff?
Yeah, Jeff. So I'm actually trying to start my own business as well right now. And from one small business owner to the next, I was wondering if you could tell me a little bit about the challenges that some small businesses face, especially veteran-owned businesses.
Well, you're going to want to quit about every day for about the first 5 years. I had hair when I first started, so I lost.
It went down to your chin.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
But no, I would say that the biggest challenge is going to be believing in yourself, because a lot of times you're going to be the only person clapping, the only person willing to push it forward, the only person to see the vision, and the only person to have the, the intestinal fortitude to keep pushing through that. Another thing is going to be financial. As your organization grows, lines of credit, things like that become extremely important. They can limit growth or, help you grow beyond your wildest dreams. I would say the last thing to any small business owner out there that's really looking at doing this is understand if you're supposed to be a business owner or not. A lot of business owners carry it very well, carry being a business owner very well, but just because they carry it well, it doesn't mean it's not heavy. And so make sure you're equipped to actually be the owner of a company. Being a number 2 at a giant organization is just as successful as being a small business owner.
Do you think some of the challenges, and we've heard this with some of the groups, is that no matter you've been in the military for 4 years or 20 years or whatever the case may be, so there's a rank and file, obviously, in the military. And in some businesses, you'd think there's a rank and file, but there really isn't. And certainly the folks in the military have exhibited leadership no matter what stage they're in this aspect. Has it been tough for them to not express their voice when it comes to certain things, or that's not an issue?
Well, I think that any organization needs to listen to their people.
Successful ones do.
Yeah, successful organizations. And so every time the Patriot Group goes to a lull or goes to a quarter where we don't have great earnings, it's because we stop listening to our people.
Right.
I would say that veterans bring a unique perspective to everything, okay? Because veterans have seen things other people haven't seen. They understand leadership, and they understand actually putting your life on the line for something. Obviously, in the Patriot Group, we're not putting our life on the line for things. We really don't have those kinds of those opportunities or those things going on. But I think that anytime you are in an organization that gets top heavy, that gets autocratic, and it's not democratic, that's when you start to lose your way.
Yeah. Well, when you help team members get homes, and especially in San Diego or wherever it may be, that's life-changing. That's an understatement of the world. And so what you're doing is life-changing, not for that family only, but for those generations of that family. You talk about that, Jeff.
So I'm from poverty. Okay, and so I never thought I'd be able to buy a home. I never thought, especially here in California, when I got out of the Marine Corps, like so many other veterans, I was like, I'm getting out of here. I got to go somewhere where it's much cheaper. And then I started looking at the trades. Okay, we don't preach enough about the trades. We don't look into blue collar work. In the United States of America is about 40 years behind in the trades, if you look at foreign countries. And so a lot of the trades have trade unions. If you ever look at the salaries in those trade unions, the average starting salary is over $100,000 a year. And most of them start about $150 to $160 with all benefits included. And so you can buy a pretty good sized house with a salary like that. You'll qualify for way more with the bank. And so the Patriot Group, we blew up. We got super successful, and I was able to buy my home, and I was pumped. But there was still something missing there because I hadn't done it for anybody else yet. We hadn't had anybody actually be able to sell out and buy their own home. And my whole goal was I want my employees to be able to be my neighbors. The Patriot Group, we make we statements. There's no, Jeff Forbes. Yes, I'm the owner and founder, and I got all the accolades. But we make a lot of we statements. We're going to get to our objectives. We're going to get to our goals. And so I had a kid that started with me, first employee. His name's Wyatt Peterson, and he started with me making $20 an hour, and then he bought a big, beautiful home. And I was never more proud than the moment that. Or I was never prouder than that moment when he was able to buy that home. And I didn't go to the kid's wedding. He invited me to his wedding, and he goes wedding, but I went to his house the first night and helped him move in because I was so, blown away by that. And I realized we had struck a chord. We won an award on the deck of the Midway, and I got up and talked about how if we want veterans to stay in California, they got to be able to buy homes. And I thought I had bombed the speech because it was super quiet. And after I started talking about people buying homes, I realized how many organizations weren't looking at that as a metric of success. I could buy probably a bigger house. I could buy a nicer car. I could go on more expensive trips. I could probably do a lot more. But what does that do for the organization? I want people that are going to stay at the Patriot Group for 50 years. I want people that are going to outlive me at the Patriot Group. And so that's why it's so important to me.
Well, I mean, listen, the we aspect of it, is that something that's always been in your DNA, or that's something that grew with your experience in the military? Did you have this before?
No, I would say that I was probably pretty selfish.
Okay.
I'm going to go to college at this university. I'm going to go here. I'm going to buy this. I'm going to do that. And then when I joined the Marine Corps, I realized that, in the military, you're a number. I hate to say it, but in the military, you're a number. And so it's always, what's the best needs of the Marine Corps? What's the best needs of the Patriot Group? It's our employees. They're the most important thing. They bring the most value. We wouldn't be anywhere. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for Jennifer, and I wouldn't be as successful if it wasn't for the team. And so it's just all about, where are we going? And that's making the mission and vision very clear to your team. almost like beating a drum.
Well, it takes about 4 seconds to understand that Jeff, and of course you too, Jennifer, are an employee's dream of as leaders in all this. Just like there's some great coaches that are a player's coach, right? And there's some coaches that aren't players' coaches when it comes to sports and all that. Had to throw my sports writing background in on that when we're chatting with our good friends from the Patriot Group. Jeff Forbes, founder and president and CEO, joined by his colleague Jennifer Cortes, VP of Strategic Partnerships. As we always do at the second half of the interview, I'll start with you on this, Jennifer, then pivot over to Jeff. What can our listeners do to support the great work of the Patriot Group? Have that magic wand and ask whatever you'd like.
Yeah, much appreciated. Well, first of all, I just want to honor you for doing this, you and your team. So you're already making a difference throughout our community. Mm-hmm. I think being able to share this message and to bring more visibility specifically to the energy sector and the utilities, and that there are careers across the board and it's a growing industry, and also to spotlight the trades. And so we're very grateful for all of this, is to be able to, to bring that type of visibility, and then also specifically for transitioning service members and spouses. So I would just say, being here now and being able to be on this platform and share this is incredibly helpful, and that's what we're grateful for. And if anything, it's continue to advocate for our transitioning service members, veterans and their spouses, and specifically for career opportunities for them.
That sounds good. Jeff, what else can we do?
It starts in Sacramento. I need to keep veterans in California. The biggest need that we have is
income tax.
The biggest need we have are more people for the trades. The infrastructure in the state of California cannot withstand this 2030 agenda that they have to make everything electric.
Right.
With the rolling brownouts and things like that, it's going to lead to blackouts. And so there's an untapped veteran market of employees that can return to the trades. And so Sacramento needs to pass legislation and do things that keeps veterans in the state of California, whether that be through untaxing their military retirement, whether that be lowering property taxes for disabled veterans or veterans staying here in California, whether that be tax exempt status on groceries or other things to keep guys here. If you look across the nation, the states that have the highest veteran population are the safest states to live in. We have a crime issue in the state of California. We also have as many veterans leaving as humanly possible. And so we want to keep our veterans here in California. And that starts all the way from Lindsay Sin, the Secretary of CalVet, all the way down to SD Max, to all the nonprofit organizations. Do everything, get on the same page, and let's keep veterans here. My whole thing is the state of California used to be the golden state because everybody came here for opportunity. It's not looking so golden anymore. So we need to work on returning opportunities here and keeping people here.
Yeah, and especially with the veterans. And when you think about it, what's so important about it? Well, here's a veteran that's been working for 20 years. They're 39 years old now. They have a whole nother 30 more years to give back to the community, plus the brain power and all that. Promise me that both you and Jennifer will come back with somebody that has benefited from the Patriot Group, whether it's someone on your team, or it's a veteran, or it's a trade that you're working with. And let's have you come back on and shout that out and just continue the conversation if you're interested.
I have to check with the Oracle. Jennifer, is that okay?
Without a doubt. We look forward to it. Thank you so much.
Very good. Jeff Forbes, president and CEO and founder of the Patriot Group. Thank you so much for coming in. Jennifer, I know you weren't planning on coming on air. You did a great job as usual. No surprise in this aspect of it. Thank you for everything you do, not just for the Patriot Group, but of course to support SDMAC. You're on the leaders there. Ian, always enjoy having you and your insights as well. And to our listeners, we hope you enjoyed the interview.
You've been listening to an episode of Drew Schlosberg's Spotlight on the Community Show, amplifying the voices of social impact organizations, entrepreneurs, local nonprofits, and other community champions who shape the culture, creativity, and connectivity of San Diego community. Brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, bringing good things to San Diego for over 60 years. Learn more about what is good for you and good for all by visiting www.missionfed.com.
Cloudcast Media.